Good morning, and thank you for joining us again for our time here on WFYL 1180 AM, where we work for liberty and things that matter each and every day. I'm your host, John Haenn. Joining us today is Montgomery County Commissioner Joe Gale and Bill Lawrence from BillLawrenceOnline.com. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, John.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Good morning, Joe. Thank you for joining us. You know, I'm going to touch on the past midterm in a little while and get your takes on that, but that's in the past, and we should really, I think, be looking to the future of the party, who we are, what we stand for, and I think all of us know that that should be small, constitutional government, and how we get there, how we bring others into our camp, how we reach out to minorities. It all needs to be one singular effort. And that's really why I've asked Commissioner Gale to be here this morning, because he lives this and he believes in these things. Yet he faces the problem we all face. And that dilemma is, how do we convince people that we're right? Joe, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's a lot to take away from this. And I think it's important to learn from history. You mentioned a couple of weeks ago we had the 2018 midterms. And in Pennsylvania, it did not go well, and I predicted that because I know firsthand what's on the minds of conservatives around Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. I have a good pulse, and far too often the conservative base feels alienated. They feel that conservative values and principles aren't being represented in all levels of government, whether it's their Congress representative or their U.S. senator, state senator, county level, local level. Many times are described as, if they are elected as a Republican, as a rhino, a Republican in name only.
Right.
And I think in order for Republicans to have success in elections in the suburbs surrounding Philadelphia and across the state of Pennsylvania, they have to have a clear contrast between liberalism and stay true to those conservative values and principles, and in return, energize the conservative base that has felt alienated, and energize them to get out and vote and get active in their campaigns and make a turnaround. But I'm probably one of the sole voices of conservatism in southeastern Pennsylvania, mm-hmm. and I'm honored to be a voice for those folks. But and I'm fighting the fight and looking towards the future. Next year, 2019, I'm up for re-election. My term went very quickly, but I have great success with energizing that conservative base. Again, their voice. Yeah. And next year, it will be interesting because both political party establishments want me out of office because I am totally anti-establishment. And when you're not part of the establishment in crowd that plays ball and is part of the deal making, you're not embraced by the party leaders.
Right.
And I had success in beating them before in 2015, and I'm very optimistic that next year I'll have success with getting reelected, despite not having the support of the political party.
And that's the thing. And Bill, I think you'll agree with this too. The fact that Joe is different, the fact that Joe is not establishment, gives him the fuel to be able to energize a base. Take a guy like Alex Charlton, okay?
Right.
Not exciting. Not exciting. A rhino, right? So what's the real difference between that and a Democrat? But you take a guy like Joe, and you got something to get behind. You got something to get excited about.
Well, one thing what Joe was bringing up, the head of the state Republican Party is a full-time paid employee of Stradley Ronan, okay, which is a lobbying political fixing firm. Now, his name is Val DiGiorgio. Who is Val working for? I mean, obviously he's getting paid by Stradley Ronan, and probably quite a bit. Right. Is his interest going to be with them, or is it going to be with Joe, getting Joe elected, getting Lou Barletta elected, or even Scott Wagner? I mean, how did he? I swear he was just they put him up as a punching bag. I mean, he was an awful candidate.
Right. We'll get into that.
Yeah. Well, that's so he's right. The Republican Party leadership in this state is not, I don't think, interested in electing Republicans.
Absolutely. It's almost like we don't have two parties.
No, that's true.
Yeah, and to touch on what Bill just said, I learned very quickly in my role as Montgomery County Commissioner that these political party bosses, their agenda is not about conservatism and liberalism ideology. Mm-hmm. It is a business for these guys. Mm-hmm. They collude with the Democrat leaders just as much as they collude with Republican leaders. It doesn't matter which party is in control. It's all about deal making, so they get rich out of government.
Right.
And everybody listening to this show knows that's the truth. That's why we see an endless cycle of corruption and scandal. Every time you turn on the TV, there's another politician getting arrested and going to prison. We have one, recently, our former Attorney General, Kathleen Kane, is in the Montgomery County Correctional Facility. So it's never ending. It's been like this since the beginning of government. There's always been corruption, but the political class is all about making deals, and the ideal candidate in their world is who's going to be the best puppet on a string. Who can I control to make those deals with? I'm not controllable. I beat the party. I don't need the party. They should learn from this and embrace the fact that the public is fed up with the corrupt insiders sabotaging everything. Right. And I think that's what a lot of the Republican chairmen and leaders are doing. They're sabotaging the Republican Party to get in the good graces of the Democrat Party to make deals.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing about bipartisanship reaching across the aisle to work with the other side. Why would you do that when the other side is 99% of the time wrong?
Hey, John.
Right.
Did you see the blog story I just had about the Senate?
No, I missed it. Busy day at the office today.
Okay, well, no, this is yesterday. Six of the Republicans in the U.S. Senate majority are former Democrats. Everybody, who really believes in bipartisan are becoming Republicans. The Democrats are just worthless. I mean, they're in it for themselves, and they're not, they're not interested in doing what's right at all.
Yeah, no.
Donald Trump is a former Democrat.
Right.
I often call it collusion disguised as bipartisanship.
Collusion's a dirty word.
Yeah, it's all collusion, and it's all so it impacts their wallets. And like I said, the ideology, these party leaders and these career politicians, they're not passionate about the Constitution and conservatism.
No, but they are passionate about themselves. They're passionate about themselves and their friends. And they're passionate about tax dollars, Joe. Tax dollars are not revered the way they ought to be. The hard worked for a dollar from the people taken by taxes for the government aren't appreciated the way that they need to be. And Joe and Bill, it at least feels like our leaders feel not only entitled to their power, but also entitled to as much of a share of the people's money as they can get their hands on.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if you go on my website or on YouTube and put in Joe Gale, there's a series of videos from our county commissioner board meetings where I expose a series of pay-to-play politics where campaign donors donate to my colleagues and then a few days later are awarded government-funded contracts, whether it's tax abatement or public funding for a low-income housing project, whatever it may be. They're making those contributions for a reason.
Yeah.
And they're influencing the decision-making process.
Are you sure the awarding of those jobs wasn't just a coincidence? I'm not being serious.
But yeah, it's very unfortunate. I hear from taxpayers, senior citizens being taxed out of their homes, that are working hard on a fixed income many times, and they can't afford their taxes that go up year after year. Yet the government just goes after money grab after money grab. I aggressively opposed. I'm one of the only county commissioners in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to oppose increasing the vehicle registration fee. Right. That was a big one.
Yeah, I remember that. I
simply pointed out, we have the highest gas tax in the entire nation. Why do we have to increase the vehicle registration fee? A core function of government should be to maintain and fix our roads and bridges. Exactly. That should already be done with what we have. But instead, it's just money grab after money grab.
And you fight this. You fight this every day, tooth and nail. And honestly, it must get pretty frustrating because you're one of the lone voices of reason when it comes to fiscal responsibility.
Oh, yeah. I had the former Republican Party chairman of Montgomery County attend the board meeting where we voted on the vehicle registration fee increase. And he came and supported and advocated that the commissioners increase the fee. And this guy was a former state representative, a quote-unquote Republican, who now works for a Democrat attorney general. So it goes to show you, where his true colors are.
It goes to show you who he always was.
Correct.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I'm fighting the battle, but luckily the public is well aware of the stances I take, and I get a lot of positive feedback and people that are deeply appreciative of these stances I take because, unfortunately, I'm a lone ranger in that in that field.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of being alone and, dwindling numbers, I think, guys, one of the problems we need to address is that we do a lot of preaching to the choir. And I talk about local Tea Party groups when I say that. I talk about having safe town hall meetings when I say that. We rely on people being organically brought into our way of thought, just gravitating towards us on their own. And part of this is because our arguments are better. They're based in freedom, based in free will, based on our original founding documents. But we rely on people to see it on their own, I think on a large scale. And I don't think we do a lot of outreach and advertising. What can we do, just some ideas going forward, to grow our tent and reach out to people who normally wouldn't reach out to us?
What is that? That's good questions, John. Obviously, and I wish I had some good answers.
It's hard. I mean, what do you do? It's going to be a lot of tough times.
Did you listen to Rush Limbaugh today?
No, unfortunately,
we talked about this same exact subject about he was basically talking about rebranding the name.
Mm-hmm.
As you pointed out, all our ideas are right. I mean, we're not haters. We don't hate anybody. We're not out. We're not racist.
No.
And that when the Democrats accuse us of this, they're projecting. They're the racist. But they control the media, they control the schools, and they control the popular entertainment.
I mean, if everything made sense, we would have 100 Joe Gales.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's on point with everything he believes. These things.
Well, everything Joe does is for the citizen. It's if his policies came into effect, if he was able to put his policies into effect, everybody's taxes would go down, and everybody's services would go up.
Everybody will be busy, not enough days in the week, everybody's working, everybody's making money, the city looks great. That's what would happen.
Yeah, you would have better schools, better police,
mm-hmm.
safer streets, cleaner streets,
mm-hmm. and
it
would probably cost less, Bill.
It would. And that's the message that we have to push. And it's but they want to divide and conquer so they can get rich.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I brand myself as a common sense, independent conservative. I don't mention I'm a registered Republican, but that's the name of the party.
Right.
Those values and principles I have are conservative.
Right.
And there are liberal, left-wing Democrats that support me because at least they know where I stand and they admire that I have guts.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that word independent is actually true with me. I don't go to political party functions and cocktail parties. I'm out at the public constantly. I don't bother with the political side of it. I connect with the people directly. So there's Democrats that figure, would I rather Joe, who is, a solid conservative, straight down the line, not only fiscally, it's easy to say you're a fiscal conservative, but he's a socially conservative, who doesn't put his finger in the air and see which way the wind's blowing. He stays true to his values and he's not controlled. And that's what people really want. They want elected officials who are beholden to the people and the taxpayers and the families they represent, not the special interests and the donors. And they're all puppets on a string. So I work for the people. I'm a voice for the people. There's no outside interest that influences me. And that's why I have such a tremendous following of independents, Democrats, Republicans. They all are fed up with the status quo in government. They're fed up with the endless cycle of corruption and scandal. And the fact that I have some backbone and I aggressively oppose tax increases and money grabs. I constantly shine a light on pay-to-play politics. I stand out because it's easy to go along to get along. That's what all these other elected officials do.
Yeah.
It would be much easier for me to attend ribbon-cutting ceremonies when a new business opens or, do these photo ops and go along to get along. But I ran for this position to shake things up, to end politics as usual, to shine a light on that corruption, to manage tax dollars very carefully. And I actually walked the walk. And I said, I'm going to be independent of the Republican Party establishment. And I stayed true to all that. And how often do you hear of a politician that stays true to their campaign platform?
Rare.
Very rare.
Yeah. Very rare.
So I walked the walk, and people of all party affiliations are aware of it. because I'm constantly out in the public, and my network has grown. While the Republican Party continues to lose and shrink, I'm getting bigger and stronger, and I'm a true threat to the Republican Party establishment and the Democrat Party establishment.
Absolutely.
So I think that's why I have a lot of popular support.
You know, you mentioned politicians who put their finger up and test the wind. The difference with you, Joe, is you are the wind. And that's why I think you've been so successful.
Yeah, and I don't believe in polling and focus groups to see what issues matter.
No.
People want somebody who's genuine.
A lot of the stuff is common sense.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, how's the media treating you? I'm sorry. How's the media treating you up there? Are they still really distorting what you do, or are they
Oh, yeah. I mean, the media is not my friend. The media is very biased, even on a local level. You know, there's times it really throw some bombs at the meeting. It doesn't even get in the local newspapers because it's very biased. But you have to bypass the media, just like Donald Trump has a proven ability to do. The media is not his friend either, but through social media, you know, people criticize his tweets, but it's a very effective form of communication.
Oh,
we
very
live in
much.
a fast-paced society where everything's in a 20-second soundbite.
Right.
And he shoots out a tweet and reaches 30 million people instantaneously.
Even when
so
people
he effectively
complain about
uses social media, and he bypasses the media.
Yeah.
I have a very strong presence on Facebook. My page is Vote Joe Gale. I update that daily. I have a big following on social media, and I go directly to the people. You know, newspapers are a dying breed. Not many people get a newspaper delivered at their house in the morning anymore.
Right.
And I still have my series of meet and greets that we call Cup of Joe, where I go, people host their friends and neighbors at their house to come and meet me in an informal gathering. And that one-on-one connection goes a long way. And I get my own narrative out there. I let the public know what's going on in the county, what I'm doing about it, why I'm doing it. And I effectively get my message out. So the media is not your friend, but you have to realize that it's fake news. Thank God we have a president that's actually combating it. George Bush never combated it.
No.
They just took it on the chin for all these years. But, you know, there's a unique firebrand that we have now, and that's what the public wants.
Yeah.
And he did not do bad in the midterms.
No, and let's talk about that. Let's talk about the election that just went by.
Yeah, I mean, it was far from a blue wave.
No, it was
it was a big win in the Senate, and even Paul Ryan is saying now that was vote fraud in California.
Look, the media has to talk about this as being a huge loss. It's their narrative. All their chips are on the table. But here are the facts. Obama had a more serious switchover, and even worse was when Clinton was in power. And Trump is nowhere near those numbers.
Oh, Trump gained. The Senate's a big, strong, much stronger for him now.
Right. And as long as you have that, you're good.
Big wins in Florida to Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and a couple big governors too, Ohio and Florida.
Yep.
I think there was quite a bit of vote fraud in this election. I think they really tried to steal Florida.
There were reports of trucks and things being unloaded. I didn't see pictures or videos, but the reports of it were rampant.
Well, just that one lady breaking the law in
Broward County. Broward County.
Yeah, Broward County.
Yeah. How is she even still employed?
She's not. She's retired with a $130,000 pension.
I want to retire with that.
Oh boy.
You gotta work for the day.
But I wouldn't want to add any financial hole though. So let me backtrack on that.
But you know, people, there's always this hype that Trump's not going to get reelected in 2020.
Oh, hype that he's not even going to run. Some people are saying he's not even going to run.
The size of his rallies. Yeah. There has never been a president that
you can't get in, Joe.
Yeah. So those people are going to vote for him. I mean, it's that simple.
When I see
his rallies are a major event.
Yeah, when I see Obama go stump for somebody, I see empty seats in the front row.
Yeah.
Always look at the Clintons.
So.
What Clintons?
I mean, I think it's clear he'll get reelected. I think he's more popular now than when he was first elected.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, and I think he is reaching across the aisle in the way that really matters, reaching across the people's aisle, getting Democrats on his side, getting African Americans to stand with him. He's a dynamo. It's amazing to see. I've never seen it.
I mean, look what Trump did in Pennsylvania in 2016. He was the first Republican since 1988 to win the state of Pennsylvania.
Right. That doesn't just happen.
There's a million more Democrats in Pennsylvania registered. So he had to get Democrat votes. He did so by appealing to those blue-collar Reagan Democrats that we lost in western Pennsylvania that are tired that all the jobs are going to China and India and the steel plants and the mills are closing. He touched their heart and soul, and they came out for him.
Yeah.
So, McCain couldn't do that. Bush couldn't do that. Mitt Romney couldn't do that. Trump does a terrific job at securing those blue-collar Democrats.
How about securing the border? I mean, no one else has even talked about it besides Trump, and it seems like we're doing some great we're doing some great work. Yep. How about North Korea? He said that he was how did he put this? In the past 80 years, no president has done as much for North Korea as I had. And you know what he did? He just asked the guy if he wanted to talk for a few minutes, see what's in his head, what's going on. I mean, he's really good at fixing problems, or at least finding out about the problem and then determining a course, whereas sitting on an ivory tower and saying, I'm not going to talk to him, whatever. I like the way Trump takes problems head on.
Yeah, that's what a good leader does.
Yeah, he's doing his job.
As a businessman, he doesn't wait. What I learned in government is everything takes months. A simple procedure will take months to enact because they meet on a monthly basis. They have to wait a month to send a letter to a consultant, and the consultant does an analysis. Where he is used to operating a business where you have to move quickly and make the correct decisions the first time, do things right the first time.
Sure,
and he means business.
Right,
exactly. Is exactly what the country needs.
What do you guys think about the plea today?
Which one?
Which one? They make it such a big deal. The lying to Congress one.
Oh yeah, Cohen.
Yeah,
it's a joke. I think they're pulling out all stops to get Trump. I think it's going to backfire big time. You saw how Manafort allegedly met with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, and it turns out that there's no video of it. He never signed in, and his passport shows he was not in the country anywhere near that time. So that blew up, and this one's going to blow up too.
They really have nothing. Hey guys, in your dreams of dreams, would you like to see treason charges?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Kind of see how that plays out, right?
Yeah.
I'm there with you.
That would be interesting for the history books, whether it pittered out or went through. I mean, it would just be kind of entertaining, actually. Last time we were on, it was a day before the midterms, and I was optimistic. Bill was feeling pretty good, but I really can't say I'm surprised at the outcome. Not when you back rhinos who are pro-choice, pro-tax, basically progressives. How do we get ready for 2020 and looking forward beyond there?
You need a change in leadership in the Pennsylvania Republican Party. A change in leadership. Pennsylvania's Republican Party. I mean, Pennsylvania is a big state. It's an important state.
Right.
And he went into the attack for the Democrats this time. So that would be one thing. Locally, that what we could do, advocate for, push for. That would be my, and reach out to the minorities, reach out to the blacks, say, hey, we're not your enemy, we're your friends.
Right.
Abortion's killing you. Why don't you want to have guns? The right to bear arms. Why don't they? Why don't you want? In Florida, DeSantis won because he got a lot of black people down in the Miami area to vote for him because of school choice. That's another thing that is far more beneficial to the people who live in Philly and Chester than it is to people who live out in the western suburbs.
Right. I'm going to say something that's going to be a hard pill to swallow. I'm glad that Governor Wolf won re-election. I had no doubt that he would. His challenger, Scott Wagner, is seemingly very angry and unhinged person, terrible candidate. I've seen video of him assaulting a camera guy. The camera guy who shouldn't have been there, honestly, shouldn't have been there, but there's a certain way to handle things. More recently, the video of him on the side of the road, on the shoulder, screaming about some billboard that Wolf put up, throwing paychecks around the side of the highway. I don't know. This kind of stuff really doesn't play well, never will. Do you think the GOP threw away the governor's mansion by backing this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. I mean, you wouldn't run a candidate as horrible as Wagner if you if you intended to win.
A really angry guy.
You were right. He was angry. He looked bad. He had no charisma.
No.
He wasn't articulate. Terrible. All around terrible candidate.
Right.
So the GOP looked at it as a way to make sure that all these political hacks and the campaign consultants and the staffers that work on the campaigns get a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So Wagner was a self-funder for the most part. All these loser hacks that work on the campaigns that are ineffective and incompetent got a paycheck, and that's all they're worried about. Right. And they took the dive for Wolf. I mean, it's about future elections ahead and who runs in the future, and this was just to make sure everybody got paid. That's all this Wagner campaign was about.
Unbelievable. You can never forget that the guy was for the bathroom bill, allowing men to be in the bathrooms and changing facilities with girls.
And John, why do you think he was? Because he overpaid some incompetent consultant that told him, look, in order to win Pennsylvania, you have to attract some moderates and Democrats. So co-sponsor the transgender bathroom bill.
Yeah,
in return, these Democrats are going to vote for a real Democrat anyway.
Sure.
And you alienate your conservative base.
Sure, because now you're dishonest and it's so obvious.
Yeah. And he dragged down Barletta. I think a lot of people just said, the heck with Wolf, I won't even vote Republican.
Right. He was also for a minimum wage hike, which is quite odd for a conservative to be for. So I just think he wasn't genuine, and I think it was painfully obvious.
So I think somehow they reached him. I think they set him up and Joe hit him right on the head. I think they preferred Wolf and Wagner was a paycheck.
Yeah. Well, guys, let's get ready to wrap up the segment of our time. Joe, we very much appreciate you being on here, and I know you need to jump into a meeting in a few minutes. How about you take just a few minutes here and tell us what's on your agenda coming up and what your plans might look like going forward? We'd love to hear it.
Okay, sure. Well, thanks for having me on, John. It's good to talk to you and Bill. The week after the 2018 midterm election, I announced my running mate for next year's county commissioner race, and I announced my brother as my running mate, Sean Gale. It has totally turned everything upside down in the political world here in not only Montgomery County, but in the state, because there's a push from both parties colluding together to take me out of office. And I think that alone tells you I'm doing the right thing. If they want me out of office, I must be doing something
You're on someone's radar.
And Sean's qualified. Don't forget that.
Sean's great.
He's a good guy.
And I need a running mate that's qualified, that I'm compatible with, and that I can trust. And you cannot find anyone in the political world that you can trust. He's my brother. I can trust him. He's electable. He managed my campaign that was considered the biggest upset in Pennsylvania back in 2015. He's intelligent. He's an attorney. He's a solid conservative. And I think even though the registration numbers are tilted the other way in Montgomery County and the Republican Party keeps losing seats across the county, this Gale ticket has a unique ability to make Montgomery County red again, because we have a huge base. We have people of all different political party affiliations that are supporters of ours. And we beat the establishment in 2015 and pulled off a big upset. And we're stronger now going into this re-election. We have a bigger base. We have more funds in our campaign. It's more name recognition. I never held office prior to being county commissioner. So we're a tremendous threat to the establishment, but we're very optimistic. And I encourage all listeners out there to get involved. They can go to my website, which is joegale.com. That's Gale. And the Gale brothers are taking Montgomery County by storm.
Good. And I'm sure you will. Bill, again, thanks for joining me and sharing your wealth of knowledge of who is who and what's going on. You want to leave your plug?
Yeah, BillLawrenceOnline.com. Check it out. It's a fun site, and and listen to WFYL.
Awesome. Guys, this closes out another portion of our time here on WFYL 1180 AM. Remember, elections come and go, and sometimes these things are unpredictable. Don't give up. Don't be discouraged. Regroup and refocus, and remember to be happy. I'm your host, John Haenn. Thank you for listening.